morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate. After the meditation, we have a Dhamma talk and question and answer. Right now, Kashanti is going to lead the meditation.
All right. Find a comfortable position. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Try to clear your mind. We'll begin the loving kindness meditation. May I be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always find fulfillment. May I also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May my teachers, parents, friends, and relatives, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May my acquaintances and those that I encounter during the day, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May those people who wish me enmity, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May all beings arisen in these realms, either with form or without, with perception or without, with consciousness or without. May they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. Now begin a silent meditation, either continuing the loving kindness or following your breath. Do this until you hear the sound of the bell. Sadhu.
Thank you, Kashanti, leading the nectar meditation. Right now, time for the Dhamma talk. Today, our speaker, Rev. Kusala. So you can start your Dhamma talk right now.
Hideki, good to see you, man.
Nice seeing you.
Thanks for coming today. Hi, Jeannie. The fan makes too much noise, so, you know, and it's only cooling Shraddha, so. Not even cooling. Okay, an announcement. We lost somebody that was important to IBMC. His name was Venerable Anjao, who was the abbot of the Desert Zen Center. And he, I think, was the last one. I'm not sure. He was the last one ordained by Venerable Thich Thien Nhat. The rest of the people that were ordained by him have passed already. And I'm not sure how old he was. I've asked a few people, how old was Anjao? Nobody knows. But he was in his 70s. He had heart problems, and he died. Just like all of us one day. And it's always sad. And so an era is coming to a close. All the original students of Tina, you know. And then we have a few of the original students of Karuna that are still here. And we're kicking. And it's working out okay. But one day that will pass too. And I just posted something on Facebook. It was a picture, meme, of a pile of ashes. Rather photographed rather well. And the meme went, I just ordered an app to see how I would look in 40 years. And there you go. I personally am going to do human composting, available to all of us in 2027. So, you know, we have to have the new motto, feed a tree. And it'll be cool. So today I'm going to talk about something that I talked about yesterday at the in Leisure World in Seal Beach to my peer group. And it was about me coming to Buddhism in the 70s. And I thought back about this, and it came to me that at that time, for me, Buddhism was Buddhism. In the same way, Christianity was Christianity. And it wasn't much later, maybe a few months into my studies of Buddhism, that I realized there are different kinds of Buddhism. And I thought to myself, well, how could that be? And then I thought, well, I wonder if Christianity has different kinds of Christianity, and they do too. So the puzzle became more and more complex, wanting to find out what was Buddhism. So we have this guy who was born like 2,600 years ago, Siddhartha Gautama, and they say he was the 28th Buddha. And the 29th Buddha will be Maitreya Buddha, who's he's in Tusita heaven right now, waiting to come down as soon as the last person who knows Buddhism on earth dies. But we're doing pretty good. We have a lot of people that know about Buddhism, so it's going to be a while before he shows up. And we don't know how long it'll be until the first woman Buddha shows up. How does that work in? So he started the wheel of Dharma turning again. He rediscovered Buddhism. and rediscovered meditation and rediscovered nirvana and achieved nirvana. The end of suffering, the end of all future rebirths, and the end of karma. Pretty remarkable. But now, as he was dying, a vast army of monks were around him. And he warned them. He said, you know, I'm 80 years old. I had some bad food. I got food poisoning. I'll be dead soon. Does anybody have any questions before I go? Not one question was asked. There was silence. And he died. But shortly after he died, a bunch of monks got together and said, I wonder about this. I wonder about that. I wish we had asked him this question or that question. So 18 different schools of Buddhism arose in the world after the death of the historical Buddha. Only one of those schools exists today, the Theravada doctrine of the elders, one of the original schools of the Buddha. But now, everything changes. The Buddha warned us, anicca. It never stays the same very long. All you have to do is look in the mirror. And you go, who the heck is that guy? He's old now, and he's getting older. Oh no. So around the 1st century, Buddhism migrated from India, Nepal into China, where they had Taoism and Confucianism. And they changed everything. Those son of a guns. Just like Americans are changing Buddhism, so America will have American Buddhism. We're changing stuff too. Much more equality between the sexes, the genders. Okay. So what did they decide to do? Well, number one, they decided not to go on alms rounds, begging for food. It wouldn't work in China, you know. So they decided to move into monasteries and grow their own food. Okay, but now the problem came up. If we have pigs and chickens, who's going to feed them and who's going to kill them? Because we've got monks and nuns, and we've got karma to worry about. So they came to the conclusion that we need to be vegetarians and kill the lowest life form that will sustain our life. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard broccoli screaming as it's being pulled from the ground, but it's a living entity as well. Okay, then they said, you know what? All those people in the Theravada are doing what the Buddha said. The Buddha gave wonderful talks. For 45 years, he talked about the Dhamma and talked about the end of suffering and talked about nirvana. And he gave us the Eightfold Path. He told us how to do it. And if you go online to Amazon.com, there's 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 books written about Buddhism now and what the Buddha said and what he really meant and all the commentaries and all the other stuff. But the Mahayana, the great vehicle, they said, we're going to do what the Buddha did, not what the Buddha said. We're going to become Buddhas. Wow. How can you become a Buddha? Well, you have to rediscover it yourself, and then you have to find some place to be a Buddha. On earth, you can only have one Buddha at a time. That's why we're still waiting for the next Buddha, because his teachings are still known. So where are you going to find a place to be a Buddha? And the Mahayana said, even a dust mote floating in the air, you could find a Buddha. You don't need a whole planet. All you need is a people. And there's suffering there too. And you could be of service then. And they said, we don't want to be arhants. We want to be bodhisattvas. We want to save all sentient beings from their suffering. Now, I read that and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? At the time, there were 7 billion people. Now we got 8 billion people. And pretty soon we'll have 9 billion people. And every one of those people, those persons, those men and women are suffering. How could we save all sentient beings from suffering? How long would it take? I thought to myself. And the answer came. Forever. Forever. They may never become an arhat or totally enlightened and achieve nirvana, because they're going to be out there busy helping people and animals from their suffering. And then yesterday somebody said, well, Kusala, what does the suffering look like? Can you tell me? Can you tell me what color suffering is? Can you tell me how it smells? Can you tell me what it sounds like? Can you tell me what it looks like? I said, no, I can't. I've never seen suffering. I've only seen people reacting to suffering. Well, how does that look? I said, it looks terrible. Nobody's happy when they're suffering. It's not a good thing to see. And everybody's suffering all the time. And you don't need really big suffering. You can have little teeny suffering too. You can have a bad hair day, and it just ruins your day. You go, man, I'm doing good. But there are a lot of people who might want to work on their hair. So you go, okay, so suffering you can't see, but suffering you can feel. Suffering you can experience. And we want to help all those people who are experiencing suffering and help them end that experience. Turn it into something else. So, is there a difference between pain and suffering? I said to myself. Yes, I said back to myself. I often talk to myself. Now that I know there isn't one, I don't feel bad. There is a difference between pain and suffering. Suffering is optional. Pain is not optional. If you have a mind and you have a body, you will have psychological pain and you will have physical pain, but you don't need to suffer. Okay, so can you test that theory out? Yes, you can. Meditation, the perfect vehicle for testing out suffering. You sit on a hard floor, on a thin mat, with an overly stiff cushion, and you sit there. And you sit there, and you sit there, and you've got nothing to do. You're not going to look at your cell phone. You're not going to watch the Olympics. You're not going to do anything except sit there. And then you start thinking about all the stuff. And you go, oh man. And some of the thoughts are good, and most of them aren't good, because you can't figure out why you need to sit on the floor and suffer to understand suffering. But you do. You need to watch it arise, exist. Arise, exist. And as you become proficient in your meditation, you watch it arise, exist, and pass away. You watch it pass away. You don't need to hold on to cling to the suffering. It doesn't need to be part of you any longer, because you figured out how to let go of the suffering and come to a place of balance and equanimity. Not indifference, but balance and equanimity. So now you see how it works in the meditation hall, and you go out into the real world, and now you're on the 405, and somebody cuts you off, and you start to suffer psychologically, because now they've invaded your lane at 65 miles an hour. And you curse them, and you put your fist in the air, and you wish they never were born. And then you remember the meditation hall, and you realize that anger and hatred can be optional. And then you do a loving kindness meditation for them. May they be happy, peaceful, free from suffering. Oh man. May I be happy, peaceful, free from suffering. Oh man. And it goes away. And you go, okay, it works. That's how it works. I don't need to smoke pot, take pills. I just need to be aware. I need to be aware. I need to be able to see myself go into those mental states. And now I know there's something I can do about it. Okay, so all these little bodhisattvas, man, they're out there. Men, women, they're out there. And they're helping others understand about suffering and how to end suffering. And somebody yesterday said, well, you know, if you become a bodhisattva, is your job to save the world? I said, no, you can't save the world. The world's always been messed up. It's always been this way. We're not there to save the world. We're there to save people from suffering. That's it. It's a big difference. So now you have two people. They haven't eaten in 10 days. Which one do you feed? One is fasting, one is starving. The bodhisattva would say, well, the one that's fasting, they want to be hungry. They want to see what that's like. But the one that's starving doesn't. I'm going to feed them. Simple act of kindness to say, okay, I got a couple extra bucks, I'll buy him some food. And the other one, the one who's fasting, I'll wish them well and hope they learn what they want to learn from not having food. Okay. So see, the bodhisattva is very specific in what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. It's all about the suffering and the end of suffering. And if somebody seems to be suffering and they're not, we just let them suffer because that's what they want to do. Like maybe climb a giant mountain and get to the top. And it's cold and it's windy and there's 100 people up there and they're climbing and they're climbing and they get to the top. And it must be just cruel on their body and mind to do that. But for some reason they felt it was necessary to climb that mountain. And Mount Everest, they have a bunch of dead people up there, you know, who didn't make it. They died on the way to the peak. They were highly motivated. They were intelligent. They had a lot of money because they could afford to go and climb Mount Everest, and they died. So would the bodhisattva say, don't do it, don't do it? The bodhisattva would wish them well and hope they learn something from this experience. And if they did die, to have a wonderful rebirth and not do that again. So it's a real difference. Now, to become an arhat, there's 4 stages. Theravada, early Buddhism, Buddha. There's the stream enterer. There's the once returner. There's the non-returner. And there's the fully awakened, enlightened arhat. So they say about the stream enterer, it's 7 more lifetimes. And in the 8th lifetime, you will achieve nirvana. The once returner, you only got to come back 1 more time. And in that next life, you will figure it out and you'll become an arhat. The non-returner, at the end of this life, you'll become fully enlightened, nirvana. And the arhat, in this life, you become fully enlightened. Now, I asked my teacher at the time, Dr. Ratnasara, I said, if you had a chance at nirvana, should you take it? He said, of course. It's really hard to get there. Don't think twice about it. Go for it. And then I come to the Mahayana, and the Mahayana says, no. You got stuff to do first. You got 8 billion people to save, man. You can't achieve nirvana. So you take a vow to come back each lifetime as many times as it takes to save all sentient beings, the bodhisattva vow. Okay, some bodhisattvas choose to go to hell. Can you imagine on your deathbed choosing to go to hell? And why would you do that? Because that's where everybody suffers, all the time, day and night, 24/7. And there you are in hell, helping all these folks, you know. Now the thing about hell in Buddhism, it's not forever. So it's only maybe 100,000 human lifetimes. Piece of cake when you're talking about eternity. And heaven, not forever either. About 100,000 human lifetimes. So let me explain briefly the 6 realms of existence for everybody in this room who might die. Number 1, heaven, perfect, just the way you want it. You can't change anything, you don't want to change anything. But then one day, your karma account wears out and you have to leave. Can you imagine being in heaven and have to leave? And you know, the only way after heaven is down, because heaven's the highest. So you might go to the next heaven, or you might go to the human realm. We all made it. This is just 2 steps below heaven, where we are right now. I know it might feel like 2 steps above hell, but it's 2 steps below heaven. Now we come to the second heaven realm, which I like to think of as the heaven with desire. If only I had a better car in heaven, or a bigger house in heaven, it would be the perfect heaven. But you never get the better car or the bigger house, so you're always a little frustrated. And you always have this desire nagging at you. It could be better, it could be better. But then one day, you have to leave that heaven as well, because your karma account goes dry. Then you've got the human realm. Now the human realm is pretty quick. We're talking 50 to 80 years maybe. You're in and out. This is the place where the Dharma lives though, with one exception. This is the place where the Dharma lives. This is the place where the teachings of the Buddha exist. This is the place we can achieve nirvana in this very lifetime, within 50 or 80 years. So this is the best place we could be as humans. It may not seem like that in LA, but it is true. Now we come to the first hell realm. First hell realm is the animal realm. Now I know if you have pets, you know they don't live in hell. Because you're there and you're feeding them and you're changing the water and you're petting them and you love them. But the problem with the animal realm is they only want to do 3 things. They want to sleep, they want to eat, and they want to have sex. And that's all they do. All day, all week, all month, their whole life. Okay, now we come to the next hell realm, which is called the hungry ghost hell realm. Giant creatures, 12 to 15 feet tall, giant bodies, pinhole for a mouth. And no matter how hard they try to put the food through the mouth to fill their giant empty belly, they never succeed. They're always hungry. They're always a little weak. They're always a little uncomfortable. And now we come to the worst hell of all. And this is where you get a body, sort of like the one you have right now. And you're walking through the park, and it's a beautiful day. And the birds are chirping, and the squirrels are running. And all of a sudden, a tree limb falls and kills you right on the spot. And then miraculously, you're reborn again, right in that very moment. So you can be killed again, and killed again, and killed again. And finally, after you've been killed enough times, you get to be reborn out of that hell realm into a higher realm, hopefully the human realm. So it's just an amazing journey when you start to study Buddhism. And the third school is Vajrayana, the Tibetan Buddhists, who have used a little Theravada, who have used a little Mahayana. They have the Bon religion, which is sort of mystical, schmystical. And they've stirred it all up, and they have their own special way of doing stuff. And they really have cool robes. Burgundy with orange trim, really looks good. They don't have good food though, because they live, in Nepal and India and the mountains, nothing grows, But we have 3 major schools of Buddhism. Within each school of Buddhism, there are sects with different kinds and different practices and different ways of looking at their particular kind of Buddhism. And you have that in the Mahayana, and you have that in the Theravada. And every one of those Buddhists in those schools think theirs is the best. And why do they think that? Because they're human. That's why. They're human. We wouldn't do it if it wasn't the best thing. So whatever you choose, it will work for you because we're all unique and different. And some people just sit in meditation all the time, and some people go out in the world and try to help suffering beings, and some people read a lot of books and become scholars, and some people even get ordained. It reminds me of the Dalai Lama in UCLA. He was giving a talk. I happened to be there. It was a cool experience, packed auditorium. And it was time for questions and answers, and somebody said, Dalai Lama, actually didn't say that, but just for the experience, Dalai Lama, do you believe in birth control? And if you do, what's the best kind of birth control? What would you suggest? And the Dalai Lama thought for a moment and said, well, I think every family should have one daughter or one boy, son, and I think they should make him a monk or nun. I'm thinking, great idea. We'd have more spiritual people in the world and less people, you know? So as we do our journey in Buddhism, as we decide what works for us, what we want to be, how we would like to do it, we work hard. We work hard. And then sometimes it works in one lifetime, sometimes not. But all along the way, because you've chosen Buddhism, you will become a better person nonetheless. And you'll have less suffering, and you will cause less suffering. So that is the message I would like to share with you today, in this beautiful sunny day in Los Angeles, where everyone is suffering. Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments on what's been said? Does anybody remember what's been said? It's a long talk. In the back.
Do we vow to come back? Because I remember every time I would say those words, I think, I don't necessarily want to come back and save everybody.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Yeah. Well, we've had a couple ordinations here. And the Bodhisattva vows are always optional, not forced on anybody. And the last time I remember, we had some Tibetan nuns who were seeking full ordination. Because in the Tibetan tradition, only the monks receive full ordination, and the nuns receive novice ordination. Never get a chance to be fully ordained. Not fair, I know, but that's the protocol. So some of the nuns wanted their full ordination, but they also wanted to take the Bodhisattva vows to be of service to all sentient beings. And if you've ever watched that ceremony, it is a trip. So the first thing they do is they cut cantaloupe up in thin slices, and they put it on a tray. And then they bring out the coned incense, little cone incense. And then they're placed on the top of the head, 3, 6, 9, or 12, depending on how many burn marks you want. And then they light the coned incense, and it burns into their scalp. And then they take the little strip of cantaloupe and put it over the burn to help ease the pain. And you say to yourself, why the hell would anybody do that? What are they, nuts? Well, it's a useful procedure because now every time you look in the mirror and see those burn marks, it reminds you of your path. And if you go to like a Chinese temple, like Shilai Temple, you'll see burn marks. And if you go to some Tibetan temples, you might see burn marks too. So it's a way of identifying themselves as being bodhisattvas. But here, at this center, it's always optional. You know, we encourage you to do the best you can and maybe achieve nirvana in just one lifetime. Just work really hard. But then if you don't, we may still be here your next lifetime. Give it a try. Thanks for the question. Okay, all these serious faces. Okay. Well, apparently I haven't relieved any suffering at all looking at your faces. So, but maybe giving you something to think about. And we've got about 10 minutes to go, so maybe we can do a little bit of chanting and just let everything sort of settle.
Thank you, Kusala. We'll chant the page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa
Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sentient
Beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief.
Thank you for everybody. A couple of announcements we have. Next Sunday, which is I believe 11th of August. Sai Mahajan is going to give a Dhamma talk. After the next Sunday, which is 18th of the August, we're going to do the Ulambana service, which is offering merit for the departure relatives. We will invite for the different monks from the different temples. I believe around maximum 12 monks going to be here, and we have dana for the monks, and we have lunch for the everybody. Make sure to come that Sunday. We're preparing food for the at least around 40 people. So bring your friends or relatives, whoever like to eat, no problem. So we do have different food, Vietnamese, Thai and Sri Lankan and Indian food. Please come and join with us the 18th of August. It's going to be here. The lunch is going to be in Ananda Hall. Make sure to bring some donation for the monks also. So once a year you can practice, dana, just a little bit you can donate for the monks, even $1, $5, $10, 20, whatever you can do. I believe around 11 or 12 monks going to be, maybe 11, maybe 12, not more than 12. So please come. Same time we start around 11 o'clock here. When we finish here, and we go into the Ananda Hall, we're going to offer the dana for the monks. This tradition is Mahayana tradition, which is we do every year. We offering merit for the departure relatives, including our founder Dr. Tikthenan and our co-founder Dr. Karma Dhamma and my teacher Dr. Ratnasara, and including all the monks and nuns used to live here. Many monks and nuns pass away. So we're thinking about all those great monks and nuns and our parents, grandparents, whatever people pass away. We're thinking about everybody and offering merit to everybody. That is wonderful things. Yes, the 9:30 to 10:30 meditation, basically it is used to be a first Sunday of the month. Right now we changed to the third Sunday of the month, but the third Sunday, 18, we're not going to do the meditation. We're going to start next month again, September. Make sure about that one also. And we have tea and cookies. So you can enjoy tea and cookies, and somebody bring a nice chocolate, I believe. So I got one ready. Ben, yes. Thanks again. I didn't taste it, but I will taste right now with tea.
And there's plenty more about it.
All right. Thank you for your all kind of help, and so enjoy rest of your day, and have a wonderful day for everybody. And by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu.